So my topic for today is, I try to say it, it's obramba pred napady w mobilnych okulich, right? Or something like that, right? I hope I was at least close. Okay. So in generally, my plan is I just use a couple of slides to draw a picture in front of you in terms of mobile threats and what's going on here, and then explain our MobileIron threat defense solution. And I would like to end up with a live demo showing you how that really works on the device and what we can do to protect, right? So in general, what we observe lately is that mobile attacks are on the rise. It really is happening rapidly. This is the report from the Imperium, actually from like middle of this year is, and you can see how many security patches have been done by the mobile operating system vendors like Apple and Google. Also, which is kind of also scary, 60% of Android devices were more than 5 versions behind the latest release. So fact that the Google has made the security release doesn't mean, okay, you are protected because many users simply don't install this security patch, right? And also the last, on the right side information here is that 93% of network attacks are somehow man-in-the-middle thing. So this is happening on a daily basis. And the fact is that the hackers, the bad guys, are really targeting mobile devices. Why? Well, they realize that actually the mobile devices, you know, they are used by everyone. They are used everywhere. They are used also to really get into the company data. Sometimes basic things like email, but many and more customers are using dedicated internal applications for really working from mobile devices. So it's much easier for me to try to get to mobile devices than try to, I don't know, attack your company perimeter, you know, get through some firewalls and all the other security you have, right? So this is really the fact. And these attacks are happening from different, I would say, areas. We call it DNA, and it's not deoxyribo, whatever this acid thing, but it's really device, networks, and applications attacks. There are different types, right? So it's not only that I'm coming from network, it's not I'm coming from device, it's all three of them. So device level attacks. This is anything related to the device, exploits, some vulnerabilities in the operating system. That can be something which is sent to a device like SMS or malicious application, which can exploit or use some exploit vulnerability in the system to take over a device. There can be some examples from the past. There was also on Android devices, the Bluetooth, for example, Blueborn vulnerability, which the bad guys could take fully over control of your device by just the Bluetooth, and many others. The thing here is that once that happens and somebody is becoming the root on a device, so taking over a device, it doesn't really matter that you had your device protected by some solutions like even MobileIron, like EMM or any others with containers, because if I am in the root of a device, I could do whatever I want on that device, right? So the first thing, device level attacks, really which happens. Network level attacks. Very often, this is how it all starts. Reconnaissance. The people are using public Wi-Fi's, but also in the hotels. Very often, they are just simply connecting somewhere to the Wi-Fi, and there are tools out there, and there's one even I have here. I will show you that later on, showing the live demo. I have the rooted Android device with one application here from which I can try to do man-in-the-middle attack to my other device. And it might look like, you know, I'm playing a game, right? Because it's just a simply colorful application here. The fact is you don't know actually that, you know, maybe Klaus is sitting next to me. He might look like really the businessman, but he might have that device and he might do something. And the scariest thing is, user very often has no idea that something happened, right? And if I really get you and I'm doing a man in the middle, and you are continuing to work, like for example, logging into your company data with your username and password, well, you know what might happen, right? So all the things coming from networking attacks as well. And of course, right, DNA, device, networks, and application attacks. This is all the stuff which is coming from different types of applications, all the things, and because this still is happening very often, that the people are uploading the installing application from unknown sources. For example, they simply try to enable USB debugging and upload the APK, because Bogdan told me that he has a nice APK which can help me to get my device more powerful, right? These things are happening really, and this is also important that Klaus even mentioned that might be some legitimate application which had some malware piece included inside of it, right? Which can do some certain things. So it is just, again, to bring us to the point where we realize, and we see that as MobileIron, more and more our customers are really realizing, okay, this is happening. This is really something which we observe on a daily basis. And then we also have this phishing stuff from all kinds of phishing, smishing, vishing, all the things, either over the SMS, maybe with a phone call, maybe just simply sending you an email with a nice link, pretending I am your bank or whatever, and then just people simply clicking on this one, right? So this is happening, and this is causing lots of problems we observe. So now, because of this, and actually the things what I just mentioned so far, this is the fact. This is really the fact, and we observe that, which is actually really growing as well. So now, with that, I would like to introduce MobileIron Threat Defense. What is it? This is our product which actually protects and remediates against known, but also those zero-day threats on mobile devices which are coming from those factors I just mentioned, from DNA, to make sure you are protected, but also to make sure that protection is on all of your devices. And this is one of the unique things for MobileIron, because what we do is we integrate the threat defense solution, which we actually have from Zimperium, into our agent. So if you have your mobile device protected with MobileIron, once MTD is activated on that as a module, this is the separate module from the licensing perspective, but in terms of the solution, it's included. Once it's activated, it's just simply on all of your devices, and it's included there. So user doesn't have to install it. It's no additional application. They don't have to additionally click to activate it, and they are also not able to remove it, right? And that was a big issue with other solutions as well. So that is the first thing in terms of MobileIron Threat Defense. I will come back to that point as well, and I will show you that on the devices. Just quickly mentions that this topic we actually address here, there are for IT, for organizations, there are two types of challenges which actually you as a customer maybe will need to face. One is from the business perspective. The challenges are, okay, you need to make sure that you are really mitigating a risk of your company and customer data loss, right? That you have to try to make sure you did everything to actually really protect that from happening. Of course, protect the corporate network, avoid economic impact, right? If my company has been breached, data has been stolen, it might be big also impact in terms of the economic thing. But of course, this is also from technical perspective, there are challenges in terms of how I can make sure that I'm protecting, right? Many people are just simply unaware because they don't have any visibility that something happened. As I mentioned, I was sitting in Starbucks, I was doing my work, and there was a man in the middle attack against my device. But I, as a user, had no idea. And for example, there was one customer telling us this. They discovered after 190 days that somebody actually get into their network. What you can do as a bad guy over 190 days? A lot, right? You're just simply there. And so the thing that you would like to, as an IT, have idea and visibility what's going on. Of course, also to know which threats are really dangerous or not. The simple example can be, okay, Wi-Fi. Is open Wi-Fi by default bad? Not necessarily, right? We even here have the guest NIL network, right? And I don't believe it's the bad network, just simply the protected network from NIL, which is open to the guests here. It doesn't mean it's bad, but at the same time, when I'm sitting in the coffee shop, it is a good example. It can be the open Wi-Fi. I think it's the open Wi-Fi from that specific place, but it is maybe me having the Pineapple device just pretending and broadcasting the same SSID, right? And you don't know. So you need to know which threats are really dangerous or not, and based on this one, you can take some action. Because, for example, you can say, if you are connecting to the open Wi-Fi, we will maybe notify the user, dear user, we would recommend you to connect to the secured Wi-Fi. But maybe you don't do any actions. But there might be some customers saying, okay, this is for us critical. We do not allow users to connect to open Wi-Fi. So they can block it, or they can take some actions. Again, I will try to show you that later on as well. But now, what happens if the threat really happens on the device? Can we do something about it, right? Can we take an action? And of course, then in terms of the visibility, to provide any mobile security events to maybe the CM system or stuff like this, to have our security team aware to comply with any regulation, etc. So these are the challenges which are actually really happening, and the organizations today are facing, both from business side, but the same also from the technical side. So what would be the value of MobileIron threat defense in terms of what we have talked so far? So first thing really is, in terms of deployment and activation, because of our uniqueness of integrating the Zimperium SDK into our Mobile at Work and MobileIron Go client, so both core and cloud, doesn't matter, Android and iOS, we guarantee you simple deployment to the user, no user really action, and 100% of adoption. Klaus mentioned that example of our customer right now who had other solutions because, and here one comment, you will hear many other vendors saying, okay, we do have threat defense solution. And that is true because we also are integrating with solutions like Lookout or Authority, there was the others, and the integration is based on API. We hook our console, so the core talks to the system. But on the mobile device, actually how it works is you need to get and install the specific application from that vendor, right? It needs to be installed on a device, it needs to be activated, and only then the protection is working. And what happens is, and this is the big problem, users doesn't want to install that application, or they just simply wait with that. And also what happens is they do not activate it. And that was the example of the customer Klaus mentioned. After 1 month, 20,000 of devices out of 30 were not simply activated. So IT had solution in place. In reality, company was not really protected. So this is the big value from us, because we simply set activation link in core, apply to label, it being pushed to the device, immediately it is there on the device. So we detect the threats because as I said, we have it integrated in the client. It's really real time. And what is the beauty of and why it is, we call it like MobileIron threat defense solution, is we can do the local action. We send it from the core as a local policy. And we can also take the local action remediation on the device, even if, let's say, device would be disconnected from the network. So the way it works, we can do it locally, and we do not need that in the moment we detect something to go somewhere outside to analyze it and then come back to do. We have this possibility of local detection and remediation. And also I will not go too much into the details, but the Zimperium, the SDK we have, it has some machine learning stuff. It has included some mechanisms that allows for that. But with our integration, we can do it locally, and I will show that you again. And then going further, as I mentioned, there are some other tools which can be very helpful for you as an IT maybe organization managing your enterprise. Okay, which apps are the people are using, and what actually those applications are really doing, which permissions they they have, etc., etc., right? So you have a nice visibility in terms of what's going on. In terms of remediation, we can have automatic actions set up, what I said, and what is important is happening in the real time. And then, of course, from the perspective of management, we do have some dashboard. We can have a look what's going on, etc. So that's really the big value of a MobileIron threat defense, because that's integrated, unique solution in one. And this can be actually, everything can be configured really on core, as in terms of policies that you just send it to a devices. Well, there is a piece of integration between MobileIron core and the Imperium console as well. But it's just one-time setup in terms of on a daily basis. How do you configure? How do you use it? It's just also from core. So actually, I told this already. There are some of the different options you can also do, and I will just say one more example here, that maybe you are not that strict from the beginning, and you say, okay, I detect the threat. So you send a warning or notification to a user, but after 4 hours or 1 day, if you see that the user didn't do anything about this, you can, for example, go with step forward saying, okay, you have not listened to me, I have given you 1 day, now I will take an action, and this could be something more strict, like, I don't know, disable Bluetooth, or block the network access, or block access to the company the applications, resources, etc. There are different actions you can take, and I will also show you that later on. Okay, and actually going to the end of my presentation here, it's a little bit of the what Klaus said, but the day in the life of the people which are working on the mobile devices can be like this: sitting in a coffee shop trying to connect somewhere to get my work done, but I might be redirected to the phishing page, or I might be, vulnerable to the man-in-the-middle attack. MobileIron threat defense would, in the moment anything starting to happen, we detect that, and then we can take some action to really protect. Okay, so from the perspective of the presentation, that's it. Any questions so far? I hope this will be more clear after I show you my demo, and then hopefully everything will be answered. So let me start with following. I have a couple of devices here, and I will show you a couple of things, couple of use cases, and I try to do it really from the perspective. I show the use cases which you can really face on your daily business, the way the people and users are working. Anybody is using iOS at all? Not many, mostly Android. But this shows me, okay, like always, even though maybe Android is has more devices in terms of being used, but there always will be some users also with iOS. This was just curiosity. What we talk about here is available both on iOS and Android. So it doesn't really matter for us whether you have Android or iOS. What is different, and this you should be aware, is that there are some actions which can be taken on Android and iOS, and there will be some differences here, but that's because of the Apple and Google and the things what Apple allows or not. Okay, so first example, this is my iOS, which is enrolled, and in this case, you see the blue icon. This is MobileIron Cloud, but in this perspective, it completely doesn't matter. It's the same with Mobile at Work, which is the red client. I have iOS enrolled to my system, and what you see here right now, I have threat defense enabled on that device, and you see those 3 categories: DNA, device, network, apps. No threats found. It's green. I'm good to go. If I would go now to the console and disable or deactivate the threat defense license, this part of threat defense would simply disappear from a device, and you will have the device like maybe you know that it's just okay, enabled, enrolled, and you can work. But I just to save some time, so I simply have it already open. And now think of it, okay, let's think of this from the perspective of, I have my device, I am the proper user, I have my device secured by company, I have access to my company data, I have some applications I can work from. And example I wanted to show you here is that simply, okay, I come to Ljubljana, I'm preparing for the meeting, I'm sitting in a coffee shop and I'm trying to connect to any Wi-Fi because my roaming data mobile stuff is already gone, for example, which is very normal thing. I don't do that, but many people are simply doing. We were doing some kind of training for many people 2 or 3 weeks ago in Poland, and there was the hotel and open Wi-Fi, and like lots of people I was asking who is connected to this open Wi-Fi. Many people were just simply rose his hands, right? The people just connect whenever they can. So what I wanted to show you first time here is, you see right now I'm connected to Pixel XTW, which is my hotspot here, my one, but this is protected one. So this is correct. In that case, I am connecting to the protected network. But now what I wanted to do is I will open the hotspot from my device here, and I will try to connect to that open hotspot to present you first use case, which can very often happen. So you see the Nokia 7 Plus, which I just enabled here on the other device, and I connect to that, right? So again, I'm working, I just went somewhere, I connected to the network. You see immediately the notification to the user. There was a threat detected. You see on this, the change, there is not green anymore, it's red. And it says network threats Nokia 7 Plus. You can read what's going on here. And in this particular case, I just inform the user, I don't take any action. So they can still do the same things they were able to do before, but simply, you know, they see the red thing here. And in general, user doesn't like to have that. And also, this is being visible on the admin side as well, right? So this can trigger some notification. And in terms of a notification, there's also detailed information. Okay, we have detected the device connected to unsecure Wi-Fi, which is Nokia 7 Plus. Connection to unsecured network exposes your device to attacks by unauthorized party, etc., etc. So this is the first thing I wanted to show you. Notification to a user, I didn't take any action. So now I've seen that and I said, okay, I don't like it. So let me try to go back to the secure network. Coming back to the Pixel, which is secure one. Going back to my client here. I'm good to go, right? So again, I think you get the point already, the real time as I mentioned. So we are sitting on a device because we are integrated in our client. Something happens, we detect that, we can notify, we could take an action, we don't have to, it depends on what we configure. But in that case, we make sure that device and our users out there are secure, right? But again, okay, that was maybe very simple example of what we can do, and that was the iOS example. Let me now switch the gears, and I will try to also input some stuff which was not by default in the presentation. We've mentioned Android Enterprise, right? So what I have here is I have a Android 9 device. This is actually Nokia device, but it doesn't really matter again. And this device is enrolled with so-called COPE, so we call it corporate owned personal enabled. Official name from Google is work managed with work profile. But don't worry, but this is the, Google to make people confused. They are changing the names very often and it's just like this. The basic idea is, as you see already here, there is a concept of personal, right? Let me call it like container. So these are the personal stuff. And as you see, I have the Play Store here. And this Play Store here is where I could create my personal Gmail account, and I could use this for doing my private stuff. So Angry Birds will be here, everything is my personal thing on a corporate device. The only thing which is important here to notice, the client is on that personal side, because that is a corporate device we provide to the user on which we allow the personal things happen. But because this is the corporate device, we want to make sure we are able to control that device a little bit more in case something happens, right? So you see the agent, same like on iOS, just to make the things that for the people, okay, that's similar. No threats, fine, I'm good with that device. Before I go further, there is this work part of the device, so separate container where the business applications are sitting. And you see those little blue icons on downstairs on the apps that indicates, okay, these are the business applications. And you see some of them are managed, so they're configured. So in that specific example, I have Outlook, Word, MobileIron Tunnel, for example. Those are the managed application which I configured as an admin, and I push them down to the user, to a device when user was enrolling a device. Okay, so that's my device right now. And as you see also, I have my Bluetooth here. It's enabled. Yeah, I can use my device. And now, second scenario I wanted to show you on Android device, which is actually relevant to Android, is, okay, users are very often using developers options and USB debugging, and they can hook it with a cable to upload something or to, upload the APKs from unknown sources, etc. Right? That's happened. That's potentially very dangerous because you can really get the unauthorized application, bad application on a device. Because as I mentioned before, Bogdan told me, okay, that's a very cool application. I have it there, just simply download it and you will have some cool stuff on the device. So as I showed you, my client is here, threat defense is enabled, right? So now I get this information from Bogdan. Just using you as an example, Bogdan, I know you will not be offended. I'm happy to be, part of my demo here. So what I will do right now is as a user, so I got this information. So what do I have to do to enable the developer's options? So I just simply go to the device system, about phone, and I just need to click a couple of times on the build number, right? Excuse me. So I need to now type my PIN, and I am the developer now, right? I am the developer, but I did not yet enable USB debugging. So to show you this fully, I enable developer options. You see already, it's red. It informs me there is a device thread here. And what is the thread? The thread is developer option is enabled. And it can make your device vulnerable to an attack. But with just developer options enabled, I don't take any action. I still have a Bluetooth enabled and everything is fine, right? But again, information was there. User sees that there is a red thing there. And now we go further, because of course, if I want to finish or install the app Bogdan sent me, I need to have a USB debugging enabled. So I go down now to this developer options, and I will enable the USB debugging. And now it gets really serious, because when I have USB debugging, I'm really open now for the cable can be hooked there, and I can do some stuff. So my client will say that there are 2 threats already found. And as you have seen, in addition to the developer options, there is a USB debugging, and it says, yes, this can make your device vulnerable to a USB attack. And what I did for the purpose of the showing, did you notice that the Bluetooth has been disabled? What I did, okay, this maybe is not the relevant to the USB debugging, but just to show you, automatically when that thread was detected, I disabled Bluetooth as an action follow-up. I try to, well, I don't like it. I want to enable that. Okay, I cannot. Why? Because the thread is still there. You still have USB debugging enabled, which means I do not allow you to enable the Bluetooth. And the Bluetooth is an example. Again, you could take actions whatever you want. So I can, I can remove all the applications. I could wipe your device, right? Or I could retire your device, depending what you want to do. But it would make sense to block, for example, from accessing the company data or to do something, right? So now I believe you get the concept right now that is, again, the real time, different type of the thing. So, okay, as a user, I go to the system. I said, okay, Bogdan, thank you very much, but I will not use this application you sent me because it's just device doesn't like it, right? And I want to be okay. I don't want to get the call from the IT or whatever that I did something which I should not. So I disable that, and I'm green again, which I like. And if I go back to Bluetooth, my Bluetooth is working again, right? So everything happens in a couple of seconds, the same device. Normally, so this is again, the beauty of it is also the local thing which we can do here on the device. And now going to the third example, which hopefully is most interested in terms of what's going on is, I will now show, so let me put some of the applications here. So those managed ones, which can really get me access to the work data. Let me just manage applications. What we think by saying manage is, okay, I take the app and I know, okay, the people will use the Word and Outlook application. I will configure that, for example, to connect to specific, Sentry in that case or whatever server. And I will push it to devices. They will be silently installed, but they are already managed. The user doesn't have to manually manage that, right? So these are the apps we are pushing to a device to let them work, whatever it is. So I have some shortcuts here, but you see there are also here some managed devices. The agent is here. Everything is fine. Now, to be sure it works, let me double check the IP address of that device, because what I will do now is I will try to do this man in the middle from this device, but don't worry, I'm again connected to the Pixel XW3, and I will not do anything, at least I will not try to do anything to any of your devices. So therefore, because you're for sure not connected to my device. But what I wanted to show you is, or maybe I will be not showing this here. I just simply show you. So I have this application here. This is the Zanti. This is the application from Zimperium, which is officially available. The only thing I need is the rooted Android device. And to root the Android device, there's thousands of things on the internet you can get. And this is my Nexus 6P, which I have rooted. And this application allows me to scan my network I am connected to. And here, that's the example. I can be in a hotel in a secure network. I have that device connecting to the same secure network. The other guests are, and I can scan that network looking for some devices. Once I have looked for this device, and this is the 43.21 device, that's my, in that case, victim device, right? And as you see, I have some options here. One of them is man in the middle. So I could simply right now click on here and try to do the man in the middle attack. And there are some other options. I could also, if I would be using the username password, could take this password, etc. We could have a longer workshop, but it's not the point here. It's just to show you that it is really also working here. Setting the stage. So I have a device connected here, and I have my user working in a coffee shop preparing for the meeting, or working in whenever it is. Happy that he has his device secured. Company provided him security, he can work. And there is a clause with that application here, trying to do man in the middle here. So you see there are applications on my, I have a shortcut here. So let me try to initiate the man in the middle here. So I start man in the middle, and the user, of course, is working because he doesn't know that, the Klaus is the bad guy here. Sorry. So you see what happens. Actually, those applications disappear. They are not available anymore here on the screen, and they are also not available here in the work profile, right? So I don't know. 3, 4, 5 seconds later, the apps disappeared. I was just switching, but you can see I have the notifications here. And there is the information that MobileIron detected network attack. the communication between your device and Wi-Fi network was intercepted and could be monitored. And then, in addition to that information, we say, okay, we responded to the detected threat by disabling access to your work application. So what happens is, we detected man-in-the-middle attack, like before USB debugging, but my action was, I disable the work application. And in Android Enterprise, we have possibility to really hide those applications from being used by the user, which means you will not open that and you will not log in with your username and password to have that, to enable that guy who is attacking you possibilities to steal your password. So this happens. I stop the man in the middle here. So that can really happen in a real life. You have seen in the report on the presentation, 93% of network attacks happen from man in the middle. That's how the people are starting to do the stuff. So as a user, again, I've received the information. I noticed something is wrong because my apps disappeared. And I will right now disconnect and I stop the man in the middle. This will disappear for a moment because I'm disconnecting from the Wi-Fi. I will connect back again and we'll try to show this device again. But now the situation, I disconnect from the attack network, I switch to something else, right? And what happens here, if everything goes fine and work again, so I have disconnected from that network, I'm back green. And if I go here, you see my applications are back, right? So we have the same situation. Doesn't really matter which type of threats happens on the device. I showed you before the device potential thing. I showed you the network thing with man in the middle, real attack from device. And the same thing is you have the threat defense product actually integrated here. Your device, which means your company, is protected. And all the things is also, notification to the users, but there's also information on the other side. So that is pretty much what we do and how we can help you as our customers. And by the way, this is also working for device admin. So even if you still are on device admin managing your Android devices, this is available as well. So it's just simply because it's integrated in our client. So it's also available. The reason I mentioned this is also important because maybe it will take you still a little bit of time to migrate to Android Enterprise, but this is the different topic.